Hi everyone, Uncle Nacki here. Just got back from a baseball card show that was in Plainville, Connecticut, and I've got to say, this is the first time I went to that show, and I was, very impressed. Lot of cards, a lot of dealers, and a lot of people. This is a show I'm definitely going to be going to, when it's, at that location. It's at the VFW in Plainville, Connecticut. And, I recommend checking it out. The one I went to, was today, which was February 16th, 2019. And, I actually found out about this show from going to another show, and I had left my email at a raffle kind of thing. So, they collected the emails, and luckily they reached out to me, told me about their show in Plainville. And the next show in Plainville is Saturday, March 16th, 2019. They do the shows on the third Saturdays of the month. So every third Saturday in each month is normally a show. So March 16th would be the next one there, and then they've got some upcoming dates. So they got March 16th, April 20th, May 18th, and so on. So like I said, definitely recommend this show. It was 100% sports card related. There was no coin dealers there. At some of the other ones I go to, they have like 2 or 3 coin dealers. This was 100% cards and memorabilia and stuff. And it was a pretty decent range. Quite a few dealers that had cards, single cards, from 1952 tops, into the early 70s. There was quite a few dealers that had a lot of singles to choose from. So if you're working on a set, it's definitely a good show to go to get some of those cards, marked off your list. A lot of people selling football cards, a lot of the newer football cards, some basketball. I saw another table there that was just hockey. Everything was hockey, which I'm not used to seeing. But it was nice to see at least somebody was just dedicated to hockey. So if you're a hockey fan and you collect hockey cards, you may run into the problem where you go to a show and you might find just a small handful of hockey cards mixed in with all the baseball cards. And what else? Again, at this show, just like the last one, there's a person that's there that sells different supplies. This is the same person as last time, and that's who also runs the raffles. So that's how I had received the email, and I mentioned to her that I had gotten the email and I appreciated it, and really enjoyed the show. A lot of nice dealers there, a lot of good conversation. Some things overpriced, but that's you're always going to get that going to the shows. You're not going to always find prices that are going to be the same as like you see on eBay, because they do have to compensate for the table rental and the gas to get to the show and back, and and then just taking out a full day to do the show. So you have to take that into some consideration. So if there's a card that's if it's like $1 or $2 over what you're used to seeing on eBay, I would still consider that a fair price. There was one card I had asked the dealer, what the price was, just because, I'm a Don Mattingly fan, and I follow some of the Don Mattingly cards on eBay, and it was a 2019 card that was an insert. It was one of the medallion, 150 medallion cards, but it was a red, so it was like numbered to 25, and he happened to have one, and I asked about the price. He said it was 150. Now I think on eBay, I think it's listed for, I think, $90. So that's that's a big difference when it comes to that. But that's just one particular card. I'm not saying it's going to be like that with every card. And if the right person walks into that show that's a Mattingly fan, they'd probably pay the 150, or maybe talk the price down to 125, and they're happy and the dealer's happy. So, but I tend not to buy too much pricey stuff. I'm an old T206 guy, so there was only one guy at this show that had some T206s. Basically everything he had, I already have in my collection except for one card, which was a trying to remember, Al Shaw with a brown Hindu back. So maybe at some point, if the pricing is right and the timing is right, I might pick that card up from him if it's still available. But today just wasn't the day. So other than that, just to show you what I did pick up at the show and how much I paid. Like I said, I don't really go to spend a ton of money just because I only collect certain things. So I'm kind of like a little bit all over the place with the stuff I tend to pick up. First thing, obviously, some top loaders. The last time I went to a show, I picked up the 240 point, which is the thickness of the for the cards, and 240 for the cards that I was putting in there. 240 was a little bit too big on those. So I purchased this one, which is one size down, which should be perfect for the the cards I'm looking to protect. And the larger ones here, they come in a pack of 10, and this was $4. And you can probably get it cheaper online, but you'd have to probably buy more than one pack, and then you have to deal with the shipping. And this is nice, just being able to go to like a show once a month and spend $4 or $5 just on some basic supplies that you might need just for the month. So this will work out nice. So $4 on this. This is the same person that also sells oddball wax packs that are non-sports related. And she usually has a bin of packs for 50 cents a piece. So I picked 2 packs in this for $5, and these I'll end up sending out to other YouTubers for fan mail type stuff. And so that was the first purchase, $5. Second purchase I came into, there was a guy that he had some 1960s and 1970s cards, and I've been working on some 1973 sets, and I have one set that I'm just about done with. I was missing only a couple cards, but I have so many additional cards that and then I also have 2 additional Mike Schmidt rookie cards. So the plan is to put 3 sets together, but I was mostly just trying to focus on that first set. And then, if I came across something that I didn't need for the first set, but might need for the second or third set, and the price was good, and I'd pick it up. And in this case, I came across this Tom Seaver. First off, it's a 1973 Topps, and it's Tom Seaver. That alone, automatically makes this a good card. Especially for $3. It was marked for $3. It's it's in decent shape. There's no creases or anything like that. The corners are a little fuzzy, but this card's gonna fit. Would fit perfect into like a set that I would be building and putting in 9 pocket pages and into an album. I wasn't buying this card to send it off to PSA or anything like that. So I saw this for $3. I put it to the side. I went through the rest of the pile, because mainly what I was looking for were checklist cards. The last 2 checklist cards, in that 73 Topps set, and he didn't have any of the checklist cards, but he did have this card here, the Phillies team card, and it was marked for $6. And you might, ask yourself, why the difference? It should be, the other way around, is, for pricing. And basically, the price is up a little higher on this card for 2 reasons. The first one is, this 1973 is Mike Schmidt's rookie year, and he played with the Phillies. So, he's on the team card somewhere in that photo, and that kind of pushes the value of it up a little bit. And then the second thing is, it's a card number 536, which is considered a 5th series high number card in the 1973 Topps. And the 1973 Topps was the last year that they were, splitting the cards up into multiple series, and then, putting them in wax boxes and, selling them, that way to the public. And 73 was the last year they did that. Nowadays, they kind of are starting to do that again, but a little bit differently. Like with Topps right now, they have a 2019 Series 1, which is currently out. Then they're going to come out with the 2019 Series 2, and then towards the end of the season, they'll come up with the 2019 update series. So a little bit similar, but with these older cards, there were a few years where the last series in the set were much harder to come by. They just didn't, produce as many, or they just didn't sell as many, and then they got sent back to the factory and they were probably destroyed. I'm not really sure which one of the 2 scenarios that actually happened, but bottom line is they're more difficult to come by. So, between this being a high number card and a Phillies card with Mike Schmidt on it, that brings the price up a bit. So, these 2 cards here, obviously 6 and 3 is $9. He gave them both to me for $7. Now this one here, basically I bought it just because it's a Tom Seaver for $3, and I'm pretty sure if I may have one for my second set, but I doubt I have one for my third set. So, when I see a card like this for $2 or $3, I'm not gonna put a whole lot of thought into it. I'm just gonna pick it up, and even if I have it already and it's an extra, I'll have no problem, getting $3 for this card. The Phillies card, a little bit different. This was a card that I did need for my first set. There was one that I already had in my album, but it was in really rough condition and it was off center. So I automatically, still kept it on my checklist as a needed card. And then a few months ago, I was going through a bunch of 1973 tops at a baseball card store in the area, and they ended up having, one of these cards, and it was, the corners were nice and sharp. There were no creases. The only thing was it was off center, to a point where, the edge of the card was actually cutting into the name Phillies. But I still bought it because it looked better than the one I had, and but it was still just didn't really fit my collection. So I still kind of, I didn't have it on my checklist, but I just knew, what I needed. I knew if I came across one of these, depending on the price, I was gonna, pick up another one, because I know right now, or I did have two of them anyways, one in rough shape and one that was off-centered, and I'm putting 3 sets together. So, this ends up being either my third card, which this would go on my first set, which is, of the better condition, and then the other 2 will go into my second and third set. So, kind of like a no-brainer. I needed the card anyways, and then, besides that, this one is, the centering left to right, look at it this way, it's not perfect, but, compared to what I was dealing with, this is, perfect for the set I'm building. So, I got these, like I said, both of these cards here, $7 total. Couple dealers down, he had asked what I was looking for. I said, well, I'm looking for, 1973 tops. I'm looking for the last, 2 checklists. And, the last checklist is actually the most difficult, because it's considered the high number checklist. This checklist here is for the cards in the 4th series, which are a little bit more difficult than the rest, but not as difficult as the 5th series. But the checklist is difficult because, in my collections, I like to make sure that the checklists are not checked off. They don't have any ink marks or anything. And so that's where you run into a little bit more of a difficulty with the checklists, because half of them will be marked and the other half, won't be. And then if you have a normal card that's, falls within this range, a majority of those cards are just going to be just normal cards. They won't have any marks on them. But these here were designed to, check them off with a pen or a marker. So they're a little more difficult to come by and also pricey. That last checklist, if you want to get one that's graded, I think I saw somebody listed like a PSA 9 for $1,500. It was just it's a crazy price for a checklist. But he didn't have any of the last ones, and that, I was okay with that, because I actually a couple days ago picked one of those up in a small grouping of cards on eBay. And, I was basically buying the group of cards just for that checklist. And for what I paid for the whole group of cards, it was less money than what I would have had to pay to just buy the checklist from somebody. So, worked out pretty good. So, I still kept that checklist on my want list, because I still needed, 2 more for my other sets, but I knew I had it for my first set at least, and then I came across these, and now I know that I have a complete set for my first set of 1973 tops, which I'll do a video on, putting those last few cards in the album, and we'll go through it and point out some of the key cards and Hall of Famers. These 2 cards here, same cards. The only problem was, if you can see, this one's got a little bit of a crease. It's hard to tell in the with the glare, but it kind of follows right here, which is, this would be a perfect card for maybe like the third set where the cards may not be in as great of a condition. So I said to him, I was like, I'll take both of them if the price is right, And he said, how about $1 a piece? And I said, sure, I'm not going to argue with $1 a piece. I was expecting for these to at least, at a show, I would expect to pay at least, maybe $6 or so for the one with the crease, but maybe $10 for the other one without the crease. So when he said $1 a piece, I was all over that, So very happy with that purchase there. Plus it ended up, being the last card I needed for that first set that I'm building. Next set of cards I got from another dealer. He asked me, who I basically collected. I said Don Mattingly. He pulled out a couple cards. This one being from the 2019 Topps, and and this an older Donruss. I didn't have either one of these, even though I have some of the other 2019 Topps Mattinglys. So I said, yeah, what are you looking to get, on these? And he said, $1.50 and, $1.50 a piece, he said. I said, all right, well, put them aside. Let me see what else you have. And he didn't really have a whole lot else, but I came across these three cards here that were basically the parallel cards with the black borders, and they're all serial numbered. Let's see if I can get that on camera. So they're all three of them are serial numbered to 299. And if I ever go to put a set together, it's nice to have some of these serial numbered parallel cards kind of out of the way. So basically these were $3, $1.50 a piece. Those $3 here. And then, I asked him how much for these here, and, he said, well, just give me 7 total. So, to me, it worked out fine. These, originally, I felt they were overpriced, but, I wasn't upset about it or anything. But $7 total on this, when you figure $2 a piece for these, and then 50 cents a piece for these, that's, right in line with a, really good, purchase price. So, $7 total. These are just, I'm not going to say, common players. There's some decent players. So $7 on that. Then there was another guy, again, I asked if he had any Don Mattinglys. He didn't think so, but he showed me the area where he thought they might be. While I was searching, I came across another one of these, parallel type cards. This one should be a number to 150. Let's see if I get it to focus. I don't know why I'm having a focusing issue today, but yeah, it's to 150. So, he had this one in a box that were cards for $3 a piece. And that's probably, what it would be going for online. And it's a Yankees card, so, if it wasn't a Yankees card, I'd question if I'd want to pay $3 for it. And then he had, next to the $3 box, he had a 25-cent box. And so I just grabbed some random things that, would just be cards that would fit into my collection. So I picked up, Babe Ruth. Another Babe Ruth. This is the mini version of the 1971 Topps design. So Don Mattingly from the Archives with a 1969 design. I thought that, I have a bunch of these already, but I don't have the base card, and this is the base card. And then we have a couple of the smaller Babe Ruth cards, the 1987 design. Frank Thomas silver parallel card. This is the silver border in 1981 style, serial number to 99. So like I said, all these were in the 25-cent bin. Andy Van Slyke, I picked this card up because, I'm a big fan of Eric Jab's channel, Jab's Family. And, this is, one of his favorite players. And, this is a card that, I haven't personally seen. I haven't really looked, for these cards, but I haven't seen this particular one. And this is, it's like a 1988 design, but it's, from one of the, the newer sets, because this is, it says on there, I guess, some sort of a reprint type card. I'm not sure what exact set this came from, if it was like a archive set, but still a cool card because I like the back, because it's just like the either like the traded design, where it's the white paper, and the Tiffany's were also like that. So, I figured I'd pick this up and send this to him in one of his fan mail Fridays. Joe DiMaggio, 1980 design. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm not going to pass up a Joe DiMaggio for 25 cents. Even if it's worth 25 cents. And then there was a Don Mattingly that I came across in there also for 25 cents. Same thing, nothing fancy about the card. It's just gonna, go into a box or something. I just picked it up just because it's, I went to the card show to have fun, and that's basically what I did. And then the last table I went to, I asked about some Don Mattingly cards. He said, no, he didn't have any. And I said, even if they're, if you have base cards from the silver packs, and I could see that he had a stack of the silver pack cards, and he was, flipping through them, and he's like, no Mattingly's in there. And I said, he had, I could tell he had a blue card and a green one. And I said, what are you asking for those? And he's like, I'm something like, 10 on the blue, 15 on the green. I was like, that's, I said, I'll have to pass on that. And he's like, well, what are you looking to spend? I said, if I get these on eBay, honestly, I'm paying, sometimes $3 or $4 for the blue and maybe $6 on the green, if you factor in shipping. And then he was like, I think I got a couple more somewhere. So he searched around, he found, a total of 4. And, so he said, what would you, do for, he said, would you do $10 for the 2 greens and a blue? And I was like, yeah, I can do $10 on that. That's fair. And, then he's like, well, how much, would you give me for the gold border, or the, card? And I said, well, I'm like, if you give me, if you do all 4 for $15, I'll do it. And he said, okay, and so I got all 4 of these for $15, which is, a fair price, and just some cards I'll be able to check off the main checklist. This one here, there was a green version and a gold version. So, and that's all I got at the show. Like I said, overall nice show. Definitely recommend it. If anybody's in the Connecticut area, the next show is March 16th, Plainville VFW. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in comment section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers I get and the more views I get, the more it encourages me to continue to make these videos, and at some point, maybe be able to do this on a more of a full-time basis. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon.